Awesome.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Andrew Murnane podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Super excited. As you can see, we have a guest on today, JT Barnett. He is a CEO, entrepreneur, founder, content creator, and overall just super positive, helpful guy. So very excited to have him on the podcast today. JT, I'll let you give a little bit of an introduction of yourself.
What's up, everyone? I'm super grateful to be here. Like you said, I'm a multi-entrepreneur. Everything that I do pretty much comes around content. So I started actually as a professional hockey player, retired in 2017, got immediately into filming workouts. That kind of took me into working with a ton of brands. Then we started an event-based company where we would bring brands and influencers together to film content, which then led me to starting a TikTok creator house during quarantine this last year, the first adult TikTok house called Honey House. Some of you guys that scroll on TikTok all the time might have seen some of our ridiculous challenges that we did with adults in that creator house. And then from there, along with building my own kind of profiles as a creator, have now started to just do a ton of advising and consulting with small to medium-sized businesses on TikTok, basically teaching people how to create content and build a platform specifically on the platform of TikTok. So I'm a creator through and through, and it's something I'm super passionate about and really excited to have this conversation with Andrew.
Wow. All right. There are a lot of things that you just mentioned that I did not know about you. That's really cool because the first thing I wanted to get into is just like a little bit about your life before getting into content. Had no idea you even played hockey. Kind of fun. I played hockey growing up, never got even close to the level that you did. I played for 10
No
years.
way.
I grew up in outside Minneapolis, Minnesota. But yeah, so I know you're in LA right now. Where did you grow up and what was childhood like? Sounds like you're obviously super into hockey. Were you into other sports, some of your hobbies?
Yeah. So it's crazy being a hockey player. I was actually born in Los Angeles and grew up most of my life in Scottsdale, but my dad was a hockey agent and then a hockey executive. And I was basically born on skates. Like it was really not a question for me to play hockey, even though I was in Los Angeles. And so I immediately developed a passion for it. And throughout my whole childhood, that was like the main thing I was into was playing hockey. It was kind of funny. I was really into a couple of things. One of them was hockey. The second one was video games. And the third one was the internet. I was really into MySpace and AIM and LimeWire and Napster and PhotoBucket and like all of these internet companies that were starting out when we were all, I'm 28 right now, that when we were all kind of going through that 90s and 2000s. So those were the three things that really propelled me. And hockey was the one that I decided to go into as a career when I was younger. And now it seems like the internet and the other stuff is what I'm doing for the next part of my career.
Yeah, that's amazing. So did you on the hockey side of things, did you play in college and then go professional? Did you play like were you drafted in the NHL? Did you play overseas at all? Or what was that experience like?
Great question. So there's two routes that you can go. The first one is you can go play college. I'm sure you know some of this. The first route you can go is after you turn whatever, graduate high school, you go play college and then try to get either drafted or signed from there to go to the NHL. The other route that you can do is you can go play in Canada or play juniors, which is kind of the equivalent level of college, but you don't go to college because a lot of the times you get paid. So then you lose your eligibility. And so for me, I went to that junior route and I went and played in Canada for 5 years, all over British Columbia and Alberta. And that was the route that I chose. I played there from when I was 15 to 20. And then at 20, turned pro and played pro all throughout the US. I never ended up cracking the NHL. I played all below the NHL, and I played a little bit in Europe and Russia and in France. But I never actually ended up cracking the NHL squad for the regular season. I played a couple preseason games, but I played 6 years in the minors in all throughout the US and Europe and all that, and then retired in 2017.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Even to make it to those levels. Like I knew a lot of kids. I went to a pretty good high school in Minnesota, hockey wise. I quit after my sophomore year. I was interested in other sports, other stuff. But I got to the JV level, and that was like pretty solid to get to at our school. And, none of those kids, even our stud players on varsity, made it into the NHL or anything like that, or even to the level that you got to. So really cool to see that. So I'm guessing that was kind of like your primary focus in your life. Did you have other things that you were interested in alongside that? I just know the commitment that hockey takes. I'm curious if you had, even time to focus on anything else. If you started to get into some content related things, you mentioned you were into MySpace. Was there, were you starting to get into that while you were playing hockey, or did the shift sort of happen
Yeah.
afterwards?
Yeah, so I was playing, even while I was playing junior hockey, I was always really into social networks like AIM for me in middle school. I was on that. MSN Messenger, BlackBerry Messenger, like those were things that I just like really found that I was good at and really enjoyed. MySpace was probably the thing that like really cracked the code for me. It was really like, whoa, like this is something that I could see myself like I didn't know it, but somehow having a future in, because I was building MySpace profiles for my friends, teaching them how to have multiple songs on their page, teaching them how to change their top 8 to top 16, how to add custom HTML, which is just like ridiculous for middle school to care about. But it was something that I was really passionate about and like really enjoyed. I think the social connecting people online thread is something that's like very ingrained in me. I love meeting people, and I love people. Obviously love meeting people in person, but I also love meeting people online and just like connecting them with other people. Like, yo, this person is doing this. He would be a really good friend of like Jimmy or John, and I need to connect them to. So like all these social profiles that came out with the internet, like it was something that I just really enjoyed and like loved connecting people. So I got good at them. And so to answer your question, like I was doing it for a long time, even while I was playing.
Yeah, it seems like you kind of recognize the quote unquote business side of it pretty early on, the opportunity with the internet, with social media and whatnot. Did you start like creating? It sounds like you were able to help your friends, with their accounts and things like that. Did you get formally into it, or was it more just a hobby and just something you
Yeah, it was
enjoyed?
hobby.
Yeah.
No, it was hobby. It was like hockey was my thing. Like hockey was like, I'm gonna be a hockey player. That's my life. I'm gonna die being a hockey player. I'm not gonna do anything else. And it was almost like the creative stuff was my side hobby. It was like I did music production. I did like a video editing, like making fun like little videos with my friends, and then did like Facebook and MySpace and all that stuff. And that was kind of like, I'm gonna do this for fun. Like I really enjoy this. It's like what I do on my spare time when I'm not training and playing hockey, which is like my serious stuff. Um, Now looking back at it, I actually think that I was really passionate about both. I don't think that when I was that young, I knew that the internet and creators and all of that was going to be a legitimate career. It was like that wasn't taken serious as like something that you could make money off of. It was like that was what I got to do with my friends on Saturday, is us go film like a paintball match or something like that and just like make an edit from it. So then I think like over the past 10 years, seeing the rise of Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all of those, getting to see like that creators and YouTube could be a thing, that was when it really started to occur to me like, okay, this creator thing and this creator thing on the internet is something that could be a legitimate business, or could that legitimately take you places.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really cool. Like the side that I've really liked about it is just sort of like the infinite opportunity. Like there's just so much opportunity out there. And like you were saying early on, it seemed like there were very, very few people who even saw like the business side of it. It really was just like this new thing that kids were enjoying, like messing around with. But even for you early on, you kind of saw that there was probably a potential for this, but just because it wasn't actually, and even now there's a lot of older people who don't think of it necessarily as a serious business opportunity, but I think there's more opportunity here. And than almost any other space, any other,
Dude,
niche area
100%.
in the world.
100%. You said something there that intrigued me about like, it made me think about like the internet has created abundance for people. Like it has created unlimited opportunities. And like, as somebody myself that has really tried to like let go of thinking of through any sort of scarcity and trying to be like, yo, there is opportunity and abundance. And like the internet has created that, like to be able to have a phone that you can go and search for anything that you want and connect with anybody that you want, that they're just a handful of buttons away. Like that's amazing to be able to have that opportunity. My parents didn't have that opportunity to be able to connect with somebody across the world that easily. Like their circle, their amount of people that they could get in touch with, their opportunities were far more limited than ours are. And so I absolutely love the internet for that reason. Like I'm such a fan of it because when I was playing across over the seas, when I was playing in Canada, away from family and friends and people that I cared about, I was able to stay in touch with them. I was able to connect with them. I was able to do things when I was in proximity wise in an area that might not have been as like opportunistic. Like the online world was, like you said, was infinite. You can do anything that you want. It's right. The opportunity is right there. So yeah, I'm such a massive fan of it. And I think that like, it's eliminated the excuse that like you don't have options. You always have options. And so I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more about the abundance aspect. Like I truly believe, the universe is based in abundance, related to, I'm sure you're into law of attraction and whatnot with your successes. I'm sure you're very familiar with all of those things. I've recently gotten more formally into it, like regularly making it a part of my daily routine. And I think what you were saying about the internet, kind of bouncing off my earlier idea of like the internet has created this like infinite opportunity. And I think that it's sort of taken the universe idea of abundance and created it for like connections. And because
Yep.
quote unquote boomers, or my parents, your parents, probably, they were limited to their connections based on where they lived. They weren't able to have this basically infinite amount of connections through things, and the internet has now provided that on the level of infinite abundance in that sense. And it's really cool to be a part of. And I
100%.
think when it comes to a career and business wise, there isn't that limit. Like I have a day-to-day, full-time 9 to 5 job as well, along with my content creation. And there's a limit to that. Like there's, I can move up to a degree, but then on my content stuff that I'm very interested in as well, there's like the limit is the limit I decide for myself. And so I think that's like the really, really cool side of the content aspect.
Completely agree. There's no, you're so right. There's no ceiling. Like it's as far as as far as you want to limit yourself. And I think that that's awesome, because I think that like, again, like there is for my grandparents and people older than my grandparents, the opportunity and options might not have been there. And so the internet has just created like such an amazing opportunity for everybody to be able to do anything that they want from the location that they're in, or have some sort of a chance from the location that they're in to do different things. So I obviously think that there is things that are challenging with the internet, with social and like people not being as connected in real life. But like, I think that if you look at the whole net effect that the internet has had, like, I think so positive. Like, I think it's such a positive thing. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Before, you mentioned how the internet is like essentially for everyone. It is based in abundance. There's infinite opportunities. And I wanted to get into this a little bit more. And I think that people feel to a degree that like there is a certain limit, almost like take TikTok, for example. Like we're both very familiar with the platform. Most people are very familiar with it. Even a year ago, most people thought of it as like an app for 14-year-olds to dance on. And I think that's shifted. Obviously, both of us don't have accounts that are remotely close to that. And I think that people get hung up on this idea that like, oh, they're going to post a TikTok video, so it's going to be a dance. But I think they forget, and like the reason that it's for everyone and how it can be for everyone is if you make it like your thing. Like you don't fit the mold, you make the mold sort of fit you and create videos, because everyone has a unique capability, unique parts of them. And I feel like people don't understand that like they don't have to do that sort of like thing that the platform's known for. They can do their own thing and make that sort of popular. And all these platforms just give it opportunities. So I'd be curious about your take on this, like individuality, like being yourself on these platforms and the importance of it.
Yeah. So like, I think that the notion that TikTok is just for dancing is 100% an excuse for people to not get on it. I do think that it started as dancing, but every platform starts as something different. Like Instagram started as something for photographers to take pictures of their coffee and put a filter on it. And like, that is no longer what it has expanded into so much more. So although that TikTok did start with people musically started with dancing and then was acquired, and like, so that's what it got known for. Like anybody that spends more than 20 minutes on the platform and likes 10 videos and gets a little bit more of a specific For You page will notice that there is much more limited amounts of dancing than there was 2, 3, 4 years ago. Like I can't remember. I literally can't remember the last time I saw a dance on my For You page, because now I've liked more videos, and as you get posting, it gets more categorized to you. So I think like everybody's got to do things at their own pace. And I think that some people aren't ready to take that jump and start posting on TikTok and using that as a platform. But for the people that are, like yourself and I, like we know for sure and have proven it out that there is our demographic on the page. And by that, I mean, there is the very similar, like-minded people that are doing similar things, whether it's working in an agency, creating content, whether it's you talking about personal well-being. Like there is so many people that are doing that same type of stuff on the platform. And there's over 1 billion people on it. Like it just, you got to spend more time on it. And then as you do that, you start to see that it's actually there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I really do think there is an opportunity for everyone. I'm curious what your take is on why people don't get it. Like I think it's easier now to see the opportunity. It's gotten a little bit more, saturated. I think since even a year ago, there's a lot more people on it, but there's so many people who never make that jump into social media. And I was never personally interested in social media very much. I never saw myself doing any of the things that I'm doing now. I have my own takes on why people don't do it, but I'm curious if that's something that you've thought of, if there was ever points in your life where you were unsure about, putting yourself out there, creating content and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's insecurity. I think that it's two things. One, it's insecurity. The other is you just really genuinely don't want to do it. I think that that's a smaller percentage of people. I actually think that majority of people do want to have some sort of an audience. I do think that there is a small subset of people that are like, look, I'm just not that kind of person. I want my life to be private. I don't want any interest in people following me. But for the majority of that group that actually does want to put themselves out there, I just think that there's just a lot of insecurity that people have to work through before they put themselves out there. And for me, when I was posting, when I was playing hockey, the insecurity that I was dealing with was that I had a lot of anger with like hockey and stuff like that was going on. So the stuff that I would post would only be about hockey, or would be like me being really moody. It wasn't me actually like talking as much about my ideas and like really putting myself out there fully. But as I understood that more and like worked through hockey and got done with hockey and like started to like really understand, like process that kind of stuff, it was like, all right, I actually really want to start talking about things I'm passionate about. I want to put myself out there more. I want to actually start doing things that I really want to do. And so then you start slowly taking that process, and it's obviously takes time, as to build any sort of an account, but like just taking those first steps and like continually putting yourself out there and putting yourself out there more, you start to realize like, damn, I'm actually getting people that are thinking the same way as me to now join this conversation. And then you start to enjoy it more. And then you put something out there, and then it actually gets it gets more traction. You get a video that kind of pops off a little bit. And then you're like, whoa, like this putting myself out there is actually rewarding. And then that's where I think people have the moment of like, this is something I want to do. But until they experience that kind of like appreciation of themselves, putting themselves out there. I think it's hard to kind of know what that's going to feel like for people. So I think people don't do it. And I think that that's the reason.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think people get very hung up on, the bubble that they grew up in, and they forget that there's a world out there of 7 billion people, and there's so many connections. And that was my worry, it was insecurity. It was worrying about what people were going to think of me, that I grew up with from high school, college, whatever. And I post a lot of things about that because it's sort of like it was a shift that I was able to make. And thinking back to, the way I was 5, 10 years ago, there's like a 0% chance that I would have done any of this stuff. But I'm also at the same time grateful for having gone through that, because I understand, and then being able to sort of make the shift that like, it's not so scary and it becomes enjoyable. Like it's one of the keys to happiness, I think, is being yourself and not worrying so much about those judgments. And, further than that, just understanding that people are usually just worried about their own lives. They're not really
Dude,
putting
a
that much
hundred.
attention on other people and what they're doing. Like at the end of the day, that's kind of it. So
100%, bro. I think that like we we just have all been through experiences where people haven't been amazing to us, or we have been in situations that weren't great, and then we take those situations and we look at everything else in the world as if it's the same situation as that. And I think the internet has allowed people to, if they're in a situation that they don't enjoy, or that people that they don't like, or they're in bad relationships, or they don't enjoy their work, and they go on the internet and they actually look for the situation or the people or the work environment that they do enjoy, you can find it. And when you put yourself into that more and more, that ends up becoming where you actually spend your time. And it can change, that really can change your life, because you can find the place or the people or the groups that you want to actually spend time with. And so again, like it goes back to just like there being able to create opportunity, because I think like so many of us just going through different experiences, you think that the internet is going to be all those same kind of people, and it's just not. Like it just is I actually now like really have spending time on it, like, and putting myself out there more and more and consistently. Like I actually think that majority of people are good people. Like I think that majority of people like actually have really good intentions and like really care for each other and like really just want other good people around them. But I think that the experiences that we've had shift that and be like, and kind of make us look as like, oh no, everybody like doesn't want me to win, doesn't want like me to succeed or be happy or whatever. And it's just not the truth. And so like you put out good out there, and like you just start to see like there's so much more of it out there, and it's great to see.
for sure. Yeah. It's so much easier, as you mentioned, to dwell on the negatives than remember the positives. And I think we far too often get hung up on those. And one, negative experience that you had with, maybe someone who was themselves in a difficult place and they were hurt, hurt people. And it's so much
Yep.
easier to get, caught up in that, as opposed to all of the opportunities out there, and just the freedom that comes with putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. I think vulnerability is one of the biggest keys in the entire mental health space. I think one of the main things that leads to things like anxiety and fear is that, you wear this mask and you're afraid to show your true self. So you have to remember how to be, or try to be a certain way to connect with people. And it's like, if you want to meet actually genuine people who are vibrating on the same frequency as you, like you will attract those people simply by taking off that mask and just fully being yourself, not trying to do anything. And at the end of the day, it's the easiest thing you can ever be.
Yeah. And I think that the hard part for that for people is like you got to have a level of self-awareness to even notice that you are wearing some sort of a mask, or that you just like aren't fully aligned with like what you want to actually be doing. I think that takes a level of self-awareness to like sit down and have conversations with yourself, which are tough conversations of like, yo, I'm acting this way in my relationship, or I'm acting this way in my work environment. Like, why do I feel like I feel that urge to act that way? Or, oh, that person said something and it really bothered me. Like, why did that bother me so much? it kind of takes people, it's hard for some people to sit down and have that conversation with themselves. So they don't even get to that point of, oh shit, like I'm really actually far from what I really want to be doing. And I'm like not taking the action to do that. So I think the first thing that people need to do is have that self-awareness, or really try and ask themselves some tough questions of like, what do I want to do with my life? Where am I at? Am I moving towards that? Or am I staying still? Am I actually moving away from that? Like asking yourself those questions, and then you get to be like, cool, what do I really want to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Even just asking yourself, like, what do I desire? Like, what do I want in my life? So many people, myself included, have not taken enough time, I don't think, to actually think about, at the end of your life or in 10 years, like, what do you actually want? Because we just get flooded with so many societal expectations that we think like, oh, this is it. This is how we live life. But it's like, those are all just societal like things placed into the world, man-made, created, and it's just not the way that it is. And everyone has an individual, desire for their life. And I just think it's such an important key to try and remember, and just such an important question to ask yourself.
Bro, I completely agree. And I think like um, everybody's got so much time. So like you don't have to have it figured out completely. And like things change for people, like things shift. But I think having that idea of like, what is it that I want in this moment for my life? Like, what do I feel like I want to be moving towards? And then like trying to create a roadmap for that. I know that that's something that has really helped me, of like, even just going on Pinterest and like creating a little vision board of like what I want my life to be like. And I'm like literally searching images of family, father, like stuff like, and just like putting them on like a little board, and just like visualizing like, yo, this is what I want my life to be like. Like, how do I get there? Like, what do I do now to get there? Both from a work perspective, but also from like a personality perspective. Like, how can I be a better dude every day? Like, how can I be less reactive to like things that piss me off? Like, rather than me getting super angry and like lashing out, like how can I control my emotions a little bit better? How could I like take a breath? What do I need to do? Is it taking a breath? Is it taking a walk? Is it communicating how I feel? Like, just how can I be better? And like, you just start to, I know me, I'm a very visual person. I start to like see like, okay, that's what I need to do in that situation. That's what I'm going to do the next time. And then over time, it just like becomes my reality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, all of that is incredibly powerful. And it's something I try and think about quite a bit. So in regards to, understanding what you desire, where you want your path to go, I know you've made multiple shifts in your sort of content career. I know one of the more recent ones is creating a page that's strictly focused on, brand strategy, things like that. Before that, I know you had a shared account with your girlfriend, I believe. This is from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'd like to know, what got you into creating an account with your girlfriend, what the thinking behind that was, and then what caused the shift into creating your own account with the content you put out now, and how that sort of process went down.
Yeah. So I actually started my own personal account, probably 2019, middle of 2019, and was just kind of posting like random stuff, not actually taking it serious. Was actually posting more like workouts and hockey stuff, because that's what I was doing at the time. And just like after that year, when COVID hit, I started to go harder into my own personal TikTok, but it was filming funny things. Like I was filming like, not necessarily I was filming a little bit of dances. I was filming a little bit of trends. I was filming like humor stuff. I was filming me messing with my girlfriend, and just like kind of messing around on the platform and having fun with it. I built that one got to like close to 100,000 followers. And at the same time as that, I started that creator house, Honey House. And so we moved into there for a month, and I built that account up. And once that account went from 0 to 1 million in 4 months, doing the house for 2 seasons. After those 4 months, I was like, something that I've really noticed that I'm passionate about is creating content on TikTok and teaching people how to do it. Like, we were getting hit up all the time throughout Honey House. How are you guys doing this? What is your thoughts? And I just realized that I was really passionate about the business side of TikTok, and like how to create, how to monetize, what you can do to build your profile. I was already kind of interested in that with Instagram. I've been helping people do that, but TikTok was kind of like a mix of all things that I really cared about: relatability, authenticity, raw content rather than like highly edited, highly produced. It just like was a perfect mix for me. And so on my personal account, I was like, I want to start talking about business and education, but my account had been humor and couples content for so long that when I started posting business education, none of it worked on the algorithm. Nothing got seen. So I was like, all right, me and Sam, my girlfriend, were already thinking about doing a couples account, and just going a little bit harder into that and like having it be dedicated to us two. Why don't I just turn this one into the couples account and then start a brand new one for business? And so that's what I ended up doing. I switched it into our couples account, which is now JT and Sammy. We started posting more on that one. We've been really slow on posting on that one just because we're both very busy outside of it, but like definitely want to continue posting on that one. And then I ended up starting that educational one, my new profile, which is now just my name, JT Barnett. And I've been going really, really, really hard on that one. And that's the one that you've seen along with probably a couple other people. That's all education, talking about TikTok trends, content, all of that.
Yeah, no, it's been super helpful to me as well as a creator. So when you initially started the most recent account, how was that mentally, having built up these massive accounts in the past and then starting an account from scratch, it's not easy, especially on TikTok. Like, it's probably the most opportunity you can possibly have on a platform right now, but it's still, you go from having hundreds of thousands of views to not having many views or many followers at all. How did you were you able to stay positive that whole time, understanding that like eventually you put in the work and it will pick up, or were there doubts early on?
Yeah, there wasn't doubts, but I will definitely say like, I love talking to people. I love conversing, but I definitely get nervous sometimes when I'm on camera, specifically anytime that I'm talking about things that are like businessy, like I would get nervous before. And so talking into the camera in a concise format for TikTok when I first started was a very like new thing for me. I've been able to talk in a camera. I do it on stories every single day, but it's more about like my personal life rather than like giving information, education, talking about things that I really like want to give my perspective on. And so it was just kind of like new for me. And when I first started it, I saw a video from another like TikTok educator that talks about like how to present yourself on camera. And she's posted this video that literally changed the way that I filmed all of my videos. She said, film all of your videos standing up and speak as if you're talking to one single person, not speaking to an audience. You're speaking to one person on the other side of the camera. And that shifted something in me that I was like, oh, I'm talking to one dude. And when I started talking to one dude, the kind of like energy that I felt, like the power that I felt speaking to them, it was almost like it was more laser focused rather than like very like generalized. And it just like put me in a different like groove. And as soon as I started doing that, I was like, oh, this is going to really work for me. This is like something I know I want to do. And that has just like kept me like going and posting and posting. So yeah, that was kind of the way that it started.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think those two reminders or tips are super helpful. And thinking about the way that I create my content, like I am always standing somewhere and I haven't directly thought of like, say this to one person, but my mindset has always been with my content. It's like, if this can help one person, then it's worth posting. So I guess kind of subconsciously, maybe I was
You're
speaking
doing it with that totally.
yeah. But no, that's really cool. And it's awesome to see that you're able to, create all of these different types of accounts from scratch and do such an amazing job at it and be so helpful. So like, if you can do this with 3, 4, 5 accounts, however many it's been, like nobody has any excuse. And especially just being able to learn as you go. I think there is just so much opportunity out there for people, and there really are no excuses anymore.
I completely agree. And I think people will look to make excuses anytime that they can. I think if you really feel like you do want to start creating content, putting yourself out there, building a platform, like you don't need to jump into it in the sense of, I'm going to film 15 videos today and I'm going to get 1 million followers or 100,000 followers in a month or in 3 weeks. Like, break it down into smaller pieces. And like, okay, if today filming one video seems like it's daunting, then how about me writing out an idea for a video? Like, does that feel like I can, it's tangible and I can do that? And then maybe the next day it's like writing it out and like saying it out loud. And then maybe the third day it's like writing it out, saying it out loud, and actually like trying to film it. But like, break it down into smaller pieces, and then like take the smaller pieces that you can take those on and just like build momentum. That's exactly what I did when I started with, I'm going to write out some ideas. The next time I'm going to say them out loud. Cool. Now I'm going to try and film one. Now I'm going to try and film two. And then like you just build.
Yeah. All of that I think is super helpful just for anything outside of content as well. I think that's something that I got hung up on back last fall. I got really hyper focused on like number based goals, like follower based goals. I had in November, I think it was like 45,000 followers. And I had this goal of by the end of October, it was to get to 50,000. And when I didn't hit it, it was almost like a letdown. And then it hit me that like, I don't have control over who follows me. All that I have control over is what I do. So I reset my goals. I got rid of any follower based goals and I shifted it to creating one video a day, going live for 10 minutes a day. That was my only goal from like November through February. And then I made some shifts as well. But from there, I was able to grow from 45 to about 170,000 just from doing that, not thinking about anything else, just forcing myself to put a video out, go live for 10 minutes. And it was all things within my control. And that was a huge shift just for even outside of content creation, just making sure goals are actually things within your control.
What you just said made me really think about the process, like enjoying the process of it and focusing on the process of it. And like, dude, everybody's going to be interested in the outcome. Like, yeah, I'm going to be pumped when I hit 100,000. It's a goal of mine to hit 100,000. But at the same time, if that's all you focus on and you base all of your decision-making off of that numerical goal, then you make decisions that aren't best for the actual like vision of you and like what you're actually aligned with. So focusing more on the process of it and being like, hey, I want to hit 100,000, but what I'm really going to focus on is every day I show up and I film a video. Every day I put 2 videos out, or I put 2 tweets out, or I post on Instagram. And that's what I focused on. And if I get to that number, I get to that number, but I'm just going to give myself the best chance to do it. That's the way that I try to look at it. And like you just, which really just brought up a lot for me when you said that, because I think that that is the way that you actually can execute on things better, rather than that number, like that can change, like that number, like focus on the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you hit that, you know, those types of goals, you hit that, you're going to feel exactly the same as you did when you were at 50,000 followers. I promise you that. And it's all, you know, life is the same. Life is the journey. It's not, you know, set goals, have a direction, but focus on each step of the way. Staying present is by far, I think, the most beneficial way to even just live your life, along with setting goals and going through processes.
Could not agree more.
Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot of awesome stuff. Thank you so much, JT, for coming on this podcast with me. Really appreciated it. Had a great time chatting with you. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, bro, I appreciate you having me on. It was a great conversation. And like, I love talking to creators like yourself that are doing a great job of it. So thank you for having me on. Everybody can find me at JT Barnett. That's on my Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, LinkedIn, Twitter, like everything is at JT Barnett. And would love, if you listen to this podcast, please send me a message. Would love to connect with you.
Sounds great. Yeah. And I'll link all of that in the description of the podcast and on YouTube and everything. So again, JT, thank you so much for taking the time to come on with me. Have a great rest of your day, man.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. Bye, everyone.